So what happens when two third-generation Arizona women authors who are passionate about their state start talking about experiences, insights, and memories of different places? They don't stop talking. They write a book, and then they start a podcast. Welcome to Celebrating Arizona with Julie Morrison and Lisa Schnebly Heidinger. Grab your favorite drink and settle in. We're celebrating Arizona, going everywhere from A to Z. And we're off.
If I didn't feel like an Arizona woman already, I sure would after I heard that.
And I feel like each time I hear it, I notice something new in it, which is really fun. And there are some, I can remember some walks I'll take where I know it really well, but I'll notice something new. That's a fun thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and certainly, or a bridge in a song where I only cared about the words, and suddenly I think they must have always had that in there,
Yeah,
but
right.
it
But
comes out.
all of a sudden it lands.
Yeah,
Yeah.
lands, that's a
Yeah.
good word.
Interesting. Yeah. Well, hiya.
Hey-ya.
I think did you ever see LA Story?
Mm-mm.
Where the freeway sign is talking to Steve Martin?
No.
And it flashes, hiya.
And you think, what? Who says that?
Yeah.
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 Oh,
So
gosh, no,
from the LA freeway sign and me, dear listeners, hiya.
And welcome to another episode, issue, version, podcast, number.
God knows we have issues, but we'll call it an episode.
Another show.
You will know like what kind of day we're having if we have an issue or an episode. That would be funny.
That would be,
Yeah.
People would go, oh, it was an issue day.
Yeah.
In any case, we are back, and we're glad you're back, and we get to talk about a couple, two or maybe two and a half more of the marvelous things within the four boundaries of our fair state.
Of State 48, yes, we do.
Yeah, I think Tom has 5 or 6 of the State 48 t-shirts from different places.
Oh, awesome.
And he explained to me that one company comes up with it, and then, for instance, Beaver Street Brewery has a contract, and so they get it, or whoever. And
fun.
So, yeah, Abby wore one in California that was different than Tom's in California.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah. I don't own one yet. I should. Do you own one?
No, I don't either, but I would. But it's one that I look at, and it seems one of the best places to get them is Sky Harbor Airport, because I see them in the gift shops there, and each time I'm going through, I think I should really just no, I'll do next time, and it has been many next times, and I keep not stopping. So one of these days I will fix that.
Okay, yeah, that's a good idea.
Mhm.
Well, meantime, unless you're going to talk about Sky Harbor, and that was the smoothest segue I've ever heard. Is your story about Sky Harbor?
We are not that smooth today.
Okay.
No.
There may or may not be issues, but we're not that smooth.
We will be talking about flying things, however, which isn't okay. All right, it's a bit of a stretch, but
well, first of all, point us.
Yes, we are in the Phoenix area. We are in Gilbert, Arizona, where I grew up, and we are about, I should know this, like 5 miles from my childhood home at the intersection of Guadalupe and Greenfield roads.
Now, is that where your childhood home is, or where we are?
No, that's where we are.
Okay.
And we are there because the Water Ranch, the Gilbert Water Ranch, is located there.
God, I have visions of these beautiful fields where it grows and ripples.
Well, this is the thing. So growing up, the Gilbert I knew was fields, and it was mostly alfalfa and cotton planted in a rotation, because cotton will soak up all the nutrients from the soil, and alfalfa is a member of the legume family and will re-enrich the soil. So they would be planted in rotation. Corn would do the same thing, pull all the nutrients out, and then alfalfa puts them back in. And so it was some variety of green fields, unless they were brown because the cotton had just been picked, all the time. It was more than agricultural. It was rural when I was growing up there. On my way to elementary school, we would have to stop because there was a herd of sheep that would eat down the remnants of the alfalfa fields, herd would cross from field to field. And
That's
so,
a good
we
story,
had to,
Grandma
yeah,
Walton.
so, right? And so we would have to stop for the sheep crossing. And yes, in case you think
Wow.
you've time traveled, it still is the 21st century. But this was
Wow.
true within my lifetime. I am not a century old, but my grandmother is. But okay, that is not the point. So, getting back to the point, the water ranch are now ponds. They're holding ponds for runoff, for extra water, and they're fed, I believe, by the canal system. Exactly how they're fed, I don't know, but they are a series of ponds where there used to be only fields, and there are trails through them, and it is wonderful for bird life.
Oh, I
And
bet.
among other things that you can see there are the American white pelican.
For crying out loud.
Yes, I learned that there are two kinds of pelicans that we will see in the lower 48. Well, actually, they go up to Alaska too. You'll see brown pelicans along the coast, but the American white pelicans like inland waters, and they will migrate from, Canada or Alaska to Arizona or so south. And they migrate along the Pacific Flyway. And I don't know if it was named that because I don't know if it was named that before the birds were there, or probably after the birds were there. And this is the
Mm-hmm.
name we came up with. But
Yeah.
it was this wonderful evocative image of, we have a
Oh,
Pacific Highway and there is also a Pacific
yes.
Flyway. It truly, as they swim around, their bodies are the size of Rottweilers, and their wingspan is
Holy
as long as a
smoke.
car.
No. No,
Yeah,
no,
they're
no,
oh
no.
yeah, they have I feel like it's a 9 to 10-foot wingspan. These birds are
Oh my
enormous, and
gosh.
as they are flying in these huge V's, I mean it's this aerial show, and then they land and they swim like swans, and it's funny because it looks like Linebacker Ballet. These like these enormous creatures,
Oh my
but
gosh.
they are graceful and coordinated, and and then there are funny things where they sort of land on top of each other or do antics that animals do.
Wow.
Yeah, and so this is a place of wonders. This is a wondrous thing. The ponds are just abundant with all kinds of life, and including pelicans, and it's just such a treat to see them. Yeah.
That is one of the most interesting things you have ever said, and you say very interesting things on a very regular basis. So that is no small statement.
Thank you.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So yes. So first stop today, Gilbert, Arizona, the Gilbert Water Ranch and pelicans.
And we just named this show Linebacker Ballet, by the way.
Okay. Of course we did. Okay. Good. Yes. Yeah. You can sing your own Nutcracker as you'd like to. Yeah. Or Swan
Fascinating.
Lake.
The good people at Visit Flagstaff remind us that we celebrate Route 66 turning 100 next year. It's never too early to start getting our kicks, as the Route 66 song says. Flag has so much on Route 66. There's the Macmillan downtown, where my dad and son and I had a great meal. Also, the Dog House, on the corner where the girl, my lord, in a flatbed Ford actually slowed down to take a look at Jackson Browne before he wrote Take It Easy. Go visit Flagstaff. Well, fortunately for you, we don't have much of a drive.
Oh, good. Okay.
Actually, that's not completely true. We're gonna kind of bounce between two places.
Okay.
We do have a bit of a drive. We shall go up to Prescott first.
Okay.
We will take the 17 to the 169 and go into Prescott first,
Yes.
because today I'm going to talk about one of my favorite Arizona artists, and that is Ed Mell, who only this year has left us to go paint other things.
Oh,
And
yes.
boy, I bet he's dazzled by his topics now. But Ed Mell, and I didn't know until the centennial that Ed Mell was an Arizona native. He was a Prescott boy.
Oh, okay.
I just
Interesting.
hadn't known that.
Yeah.
As I was well, no, I'd grown up, but when I was a grown up, Larry every year would buy the Grand Canyon Chamber Music Festival poster, and it would go on the wall, the adobe brick that had been my bedroom that became his office when I left. And so by the time I forget how many, but he had a great many Ed Mel posters on that brick wall. And Ed Mel is, to me, the absolute master of Verga and
Mm.
cloudscape.
Oh, yes.
To me, he is the standard by which all other painters are judged when it comes
Mm-hmm.
to Verga and cloudscape. Maybe particularly Arizona.
Okay.
Maybe somebody else does better ocean clouds or something. But
Mm-hmm.
I think Ed is just incredible. And so I lionized Ed Mel and actually got to meet Ed Mel, which was so exciting during Centennial. You may remember that I wrote the Centennial book,
I
and so I
do.
got on the Centennial Foundation and Commission. And so on February 14th, 2011, therefore a year before Centennial,
Mm-hmm.
they had a kickoff ceremony on the lawn of the Prescott Courthouse, chairs all set up on the top step of the courthouse became a stage, and there was a huge easel, and they were going to unveil the Centennial stamp. And Ed Mel had been commissioned to design the Centennial stamp and was there and unveiled it. And I still have some somewhere because I loved it so much. And he gave brief, very disarmingly self deprecatory remarks, and I was all impressed. And I think my dad might have gone up and introduced himself, and that was all fine. So, fast forward then to a later meeting at NAU, which was also fun at a reception. And then fast forward again to when I was working a couple years ago for the nonprofit Health First Foundation Northern Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
We had an art and wine fundraiser auction, and I was thinking art and reached out to Ed Mel because another friend, Trevor Swanson, the painter, said sometimes you want to donate a picture to take the tax deduction. And so I wrote Ed Mel and said, "You don't know me from Adam, no idea if you're interested, but if you might, sir, ever, sir, maybe, sir, be willing, sir." And he wrote back and said, "I'll donate. This is my studio address. Come by on XYZ day," which to me was like, oh, we're going to keep the castle open after Cinderella loses her
Seriously.
slipper
Yeah.
and you can come
The
poke
North
around.
Pole is open in March. Yeah. Come on
Yeah,
in.
I
Yeah.
couldn't believe he would tell me where he lived. But anyway, he did. And daughter Sedona went with me. And so he had this print that he was ready to donate. And I like to tell myself that we were a nice blend between that we weren't too obsequious and groveling, and that we were also not too superior and self-absorbed. He spent like an hour and a half with
Oh,
us.
wow.
And he took us into the back room and he showed us a diorama that somebody built, and we was going through shelves and pulling out paintings, and just he knew that we were an absolute rapt audience. And so we had this incredible time looking at Ed Mel art, just
Oh,
incredible
how
time.
fun.
And so fast forward then we have the auction at this beautiful home up in Sedona, and I had to buy the print.
Well, yeah.
So I had picked the matting and everything, and it actually happens to go very well on my wall. But yeah, to have an actual Ed Mel is pretty cool. But he's just, we will not see his like again.
Oh,
To me, Maynard Dixon would like to be Ed Mel when he grows up. And if I hear from a Maynard Dixon fan, I'm happy to have that discussion. Taste is personal, nobody's right or
what
wrong,
a fun
but
discussion. Like,
in a very narrow circle,
Miss
probably.
Lisa, I need to take issue with you about clouds. Like, I think that'd be charming.
Well, if anybody ever does take issue, I'll make sure and loop you into a three-way call
I'd love it. I think that'd
before
be
we get down with it.
fabulous. That's
Okay.
like the
Okay.
day when my auntie contacted me and asked me, Jules, do dragons have hair? And and do you
Oh,
think dragons can have dreadlocks in
wow.
their
Was this
hair?
Jane?
Yes. I'm thinking, in what other
Oh,
place do people discuss the hairstyles of dragons?
oh, how
And so, yeah, but
marvelous.
I wrote back and said, I don't want to be the one to tell a dragon that he can or cannot have hair or a hairstyle of that
What a
dragon's choice. So I think, yeah.
perfect answer. I didn't know I could like Jane better, but I think I do just a little
Oh,
bit.
she's so fun. Yes, and that dragon book is forthcoming. That
Excellent.
will become part of the world, her book about dragons and
Oh,
Northern Arizona. Yes. And when I
good. Good.
And when it is, and we've got a title and availability and everything, then I will say so. But yeah,
Yes, yes, make
so that you
sure.
too can
Yeah.
discuss dragons and hairstyles and
Wave it
such.
wildly
Yes,
and gesticulate.
yes.
Yeah. I just saw my coffee cup in our video, and I thought, oh, speaking of the mug of the day, this one is fun. I think you can see there the outline of the Bucky O'Neill statue against a golden
Yes.
starlit sky.
Speaking of Prescott.
Yes, exactly. That's why I chose it, because the statue is so close to where Ed Mellon unveiled the stamp. And then on the side it says Arizona's Christmas City, Prescott 1994. So yes, that's the mug of the day. And this and all other mugs can be seen on our website. Yes, dear, go
But
ahead.
I have to ask, does Arizona have a different Christmas city each
No,
year?
Prescott claims the title proudly and loudly of
Okay.
being
Arizona's
Arizona's
Christmas
Christmas
city.
City.
Got it.
Yes. Although I think Duncan said something like Arizona's Christmas town, but maybe there's a town city municipal agreement. I don't really know.
Village, hamlet,
Yeah.
crossroads of it.
Municipality.
I'm,
Burg.
I'm
Yeah.
Arizona's Christmas crossroads. Oh, that's fun to say.
Christmas crossroads. Ooh, Christmas
Isn't
crossroads.
that fun to say?
Like where
Yeah.
where holly meets presents,
Right?
or
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yes.
Oh, that's very
At the
fun.
corner of, Santa and Nativity, we have.
Which is pretty accurate. That's actually very well done.
Oh, thank you.
Where the secular meets the holy.
Something, yeah.
Um,
Nice.
well, let's break again, and then we will introduce our question.
Excellent.
Tony Pantera here.
Yoga Pure has many classes, levels of yoga. They even have free for veterans called part of the Bootstrap program. They have paddleboard yoga, they have yoga at the park. They're even having a cacao ceremony later this month. They even do full moon sessions with candlelight in the studios. It's pretty cool.
We're back.
We are, and we have a question.
We have a question. Yes. What is the question today?
I will ask you, and then you will answer, and then I'll answer, and then we hope other people will also answer.
Oh,
Because
yes.
then we get to read them out loud and sound like, you remember Diane Rehm? You're probably too young
Oh,
to remember
yes, of
Diane
course.
Rehm.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah. I think I would
yeah.
feel like Diane Rehm if I read a question. Um, okay, so today I would like to know a writer you admire and what makes you think of that name when that question is asked.
I have two names that come to mind immediately.
Okay.
One has written about Arizona in his book, The Devil's Highway, and that's Luis Alberto Urrea. And I referenced him in our book because he also wrote about Teresita, the
Grande.
borderland saint. Yes, kind of a local saint in southern Arizona. I love what he writes. I love the sense of place that he writes, and his writing is beautiful. But right now, I am reading and rereading Fredrik Backman, who is a Swedish writer, though his books are published in English and I think all over the world, probably more languages than just Swedish and English. He wrote a man called It Looks Like Ove, OVE, which became a movie with Tom Hanks, which I have not seen. But he's written, and he wrote Beartown, which I saw, oddly enough, in an interview with Tom Hanks. He said that is the best book he's ever read.
Wow.
Uh-huh. And that's a trilogy, and I've only had the guts to read book one because I think books 2 and 3 might be harder on the heart than I can take. And the thing is about Fredrik Backman is that his main point in nearly every book is that love makes us idiots.
Oh, interesting. I thought you were going to say something a lot more uplifting than that.
Well, it is endearing because it's the lack of love that makes us idiots. It is being in love that makes us idiots. It is wanting to find it or wanting to keep it, and that there is, and we can be either the more or less charming in our sort of inexpert, absurd intent and faulty idiocy that we seem to all inhabit when we love or want to love or have loved so deeply. And so,
Wow.
yeah, I have laughed out loud. I have cried, and I reread these things because I find them to be both wise and just great company. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So those are two writers. I took a liberty of doing
That's
of doing
quite all
two. What
right.
writer comes to your mind?
Well, actually, there are 2, and I know that there are other writers that I admire in different ways, but these 2 stuck out because I think most of the writers I admire, people would go, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, of course you do." And these are not that kind of writer. James Lee Burke and
Mm.
Barbara Hambly,
Mm.
and both of these people in the series that I grew to love them from write about the South. New
Interesting.
Orleans, New Iberia, the South.
Hmm.
And my friend Jody Applegate said one time that she'd been to New Orleans and she said, there is no place else as fertile and as decaying
Mm.
as New Orleans. And
Wow.
I think that both James Lee Burke and Barbara Hambly don't just sketch that fertility and decay. They imbue it with people who are similarly fertile and
Mm.
decaying, and their
Interesting.
protagonists and their ancillary characters are spectacularly damaged.
Mm.
Just but boy, you understand why. That reminds me of a Christmas song that I've always liked, "Merry Happy Christmas," and I played it for Rye one time, and he said, "That is brutally beautiful."
Oh, wow.
And that phrase just came back to mind. Both James Lee Burke and Barbara Hambly do brutally beautiful
Oh,
work, and
wow.
I can practically smell it when I read
Oh,
them.
wow.
It if I'm in a James Lee Burke or a Barbara Hambly, I am so immersed, and I own every one of both of them that I know of because I never want to not have the option of reading it right now.
Yeah.
It's one of those,
Yep.
and I can go back and pick one and then think, "Oh, yeah, that's okay, I'll read it anyway."
Yep.
They have informed. Barbara Hambly gave me a tremendously deeper bench when it comes to free people of color in New Orleans in the 1820s, 30s, 40s,
Mm.
and some of the local mores, customs, cultures, and James Lee Burke did a similar thing for alcohol addiction and the
Oh.
struggles in the interior, what makes people seem like, how could anybody be that crazy? He
Hmm.
takes you inside and gives you sympathy, understanding of it.
Interesting.
So yeah, I thought they probably don't get a shout out every day, and both of them deserve. I mean, they deserve to have billboards taken out there. They're that good. We have a second new sponsor, the Coogan and Martin Law Firm in Tubac. One more reason to love Tubac. It's such a charming little city, and it has a law firm that truly meets every need an attorney can provide. Real estate transactions, wills and probate, agricultural law, international transactions. They have worked together for decades. They are salt of the earth, brilliant people, and I cannot recommend Coogan and Martin more highly.
But in the meantime, you have a reading.
I have a reading, yes. It was hard to save. My favorite Ed Mill story. So this is from Arizona Road Trip, Friend Trips, Arizona
Yay!
Friend Trips, Stories from the Road. For those of you who are not looking at the video being recorded, it is our book, our book, our book. So this is in it, in the chapter about Lon McGargy at the Hermosa Inn, but it's an Ed Mill story. And two Arizona artists converge in a great place. McGargy loved women. He married 7, although that number may be approximate. If you check Wikipedia, it says Lon McGargy may have been married 7 times. He loved art and celebrating life. An oft-repeated anecdote came from his fellow Arizona artist Ed Mell, he of the sweeping scapes of Virga and Canyon. At a reception in Flagstaff, Mell modestly opined that McGargy must have dashed off smaller works to support his lavish lifestyle, affording Mell himself the opportunity to acquire 3 of them. He then laughed. I was at a similar reception to this in San Francisco and mentioned that I had 3 Lon McGargys. A woman in another group immediately attached herself to me, laughing at my remarks, touching my sleeve frequently. I was impressed there someone knew McGargy's work. After a bit, she said, "Did I hear you say you have 3 Lamborghinis?" And when I clarified myself, she remembered she had somewhere else to be. But I
It's
love
so
the
good.
convergence of two Arizona artists.
Oh, yes. Oh, fabulous. Oh my gosh. That's just such a great story.
Dear.
Yes, thank
So
you.
what do you have for us?
Okay, so I have a poem that is I'm sorry, and that is the sound of my dog's tail hitting the table leg.
I was going to say, it
Because
sounded like a Revere-ware pan lid doing
that's
something.
okay. That's funny. Yeah, it's her version of applause. Yay!
Oh, cute. Thank you, Luna. Thank you.
So, again, fun with the rhyming dictionary, I found a form called a raccontino. And I don't know if that's pronounced quite right.
So it sounds
But
like a raconteur, like a guy who plays fast and loose with one woman in song, and a little bit like a dance or an Italian dish.
well, so it is an Italian form,
Okay.
and the rules are that it needs to tell a brief story, and in the even numbered lines need to have the same rhyming sound.
Okay, so
So,
2, 4, 6, 8, 10,
yep,
12. Got it.
yep,
Okay.
yeah. So,
Okay.
so this one is called Wings. Great white birds rise from their lakes twice a year when winds start blowing. Millions with the mind to travel traffic the Pacific Flyway, showing, touring, likely shallows, waterfronts, inland waters worth their knowing. And as they soar, select, then float, white from cloud to ground, flies, flowing.
Wow. You know what? I'm gonna pull executive privilege. Read that again. I want to hear it again. I actually do. I was torn between this language is great and what was happening. So one more time.
Okay.
Okay.
Great white birds rise from their lakes twice a year when winds start blowing. Millions with the mind to travel traffic the Pacific Flyway, showing, touring, likely shallows, waterfronts, inland waters worth their knowing. And as they soar, select, then float, white from cloud to ground flies, flowing.
Wow. And that's a rancantino.
That's a raccontino.
I had no idea I would be such a fan of a raccantino.
Isn't that fun?
It is.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
beautiful
Well,
language.
thank you.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah.
And as always, that goes on our website so that people can see the words again and maybe take them in a little bit differently, because so
Yes,
often with poetry, I think I need to see that.
I do
I
too.
want to see it.
Yes, I always
So,
do too.
yeah,
Yes, but
good.
those of you who listened are very kind to do so. And if you didn't, we don't blame you. It's quite all right.
We would never blame a listener for anything if they're
Except
with us.
not listening. Oh, wait.
No. Then effectively rendering them into a whole other category that can be blamed for everything.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah. That reminds me of Eric Ratichak. He was a good friend of Lindsay's. And
Ratichak. That's a
yeah,
great
yeah,
name.
he was a
Okay.
great guy. And he cut hair for a while and he was really good. So one day Mom was in there. I forget what she was dreading or thinking about, but something that might not go well. And he said, "You know what? If that happens, blame me. Just blame me. You can blame me. I don't care." And then he said, "In fact, you can blame me for everything bad that happens to you from now on. Just
Oh
blame
my
me."
gosh. Oh, how funny.
I love that. I thought, how
Ratichak.
yeah, damn it, Radijak. This too? Yeah.
Right. Oh,
I
that's
just
funny.
love that.
Yeah. Okay. That's hilarious. That's just awesome.
So you know what? I'll close with that. This week only, friends out there and celebrating Arizona World, this week you can blame me for anything that happens.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Please no retribution.
Yeah.
It stops right at you can blame me. There's no compensation or anything like that.
I
But you
think it's an excellent boundary.
feel free to
Yes.
blame me. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
very funny. I would let those would make hilarious coupons. Like,
hand them out somewhere, huh? I don't know where.
like stocking
Stocking
stuffers.
stuffers.
Yeah,
Yeah, at
would
the
be
corner
funny.
of Christmas and
And nativity, yes,
Nativity.
or
Yeah.
or Santa and nativity.
See,
Yeah,
now this episode has far too many potential titles.
so many
I'm
titles.
overwhelmed.
Yes,
I'm
yeah.
overwhelmed.
Well, we're back to the Christmas and other crossroads.
Yeah, yeah.
And to the next one next episode, unless of course it's an issue.
Tune in next week. Will it be an episode or an issue? Find out. Celebrating Arizona. Website,
Please do.
Arizona.com.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye for now.
We'd really like to hear from you about anything this show led you to think about. Write to us at celebratingaz.com. The wizard behind making a conversation into a podcast is Tom Heidinger. The music comes from Daniel Blackney. And I'm Dana Cooper.